Hey guys, I wanted to do a quick video of my Nissan 240SX. You can see my dog Sophie really likes this car. It's a very good looking car, and I get lots of people interested in this car because you just don't see these every day. So this is the last year of the Nissan 240SX. It's a great color. This red is probably like one of the coolest colors you can get. This is a very sought after vehicle. You know, still has got really good tires, which is quite amazing. You don't need to replace the tires, but I am selling it so I can get some other car. There are some blemishes. For example, here in the bumper, the paint is kind of flaking off, but I just love the front of this car. It looks just so cool. Now, you don't see these cars anywhere anymore, and that explains why these have gone up in price. And this one is kind of a special car because it is the last year of the Nissan 240SX. It's got a little minor dent here, and it's a little bit hard to see. There's another little minor dent there. Sophie, do you like this car? You want to keep it? Yeah. And there are some issues happening here, if you can tell, with the clear coat. It is just kind of turning, so I think the previous owner parked it underneath a pine tree, and I guess the acidic acid went to work, so the clear coat has been kind of faded out there. This one's got a sunroof. It's a pretty small sunroof. It doesn't really need anything. It just has some fender bender sort of stuff, and this is just scratches. I mean, you can definitely clean that out with some paint. The rear is a pretty cool, almost typical of Nissan at the time. Like, it's very similar to the 300ZX. Just very cool looking. Let's go inside. One of the issues that I have with the car is that the pin here is worn out, because this is such a heavy door that the door is kind of just pushing down too much. So when you shut it, it actually hits that. So this little thing is a little worn too. The rubber's out because of the pin. When you look at the door, it's got the automatic locks and windows, and also it's kind of cool, the AC flows through here, and out the door. So let's look inside the car. The seats are in extremely good shape. Like, the interior is fabulous. It is in extremely good shape. But look at this, the mats are the 240SX mats, and it's got this hump right here. So let's climb in here. It's a little bit of a tough climb because it's a sports car. So let's just close the door. So I am in the cockpit, and you can see this is an airbag. It's got some imperfections for it. It's never exploded or blew up, but it's got that. I don't know why. This car only has 114,000 miles. Pretty incredible. Very simple gauges. You got the temperature, you have the tach, you have the speedometer and an odometer. Everything is analog. You have the fuel gauge, and then here you have your dummy lights, and of course your clock adjustment, and then you have your trip adjustment here. If you come over here, this one's got cruise control, which is kind of cool. And here's your wipers. Here's how you set your cruise control, and then off for the cruise control. On this side you have your gauge dimmer, and right here you have your AC, which works, by the way, and your heating works, and then your radio. And here you have a nice compartment to put your phone, and it's nice that it's slanted down, so you can definitely put your phone here and won't slip out. Of course, at the time, 98, I guess they did have cell phones, but they were kind of chunky. But this is a nice little feature. You have your AC or DC 12 volt cigarette lighter. This was never smoked in, which is a nice benefit. Then you have your cigarette ashtray. And of course this one's an automatic. I wish it was a 5-speed, but the transmission on this and the motor are excellent. And of course your very large handbrake right here. I mean, this thing is insanely huge. And then you have your mirror adjustment. So your mirror adjustment is not... Sophie, what are you doing? Anyway, your mirror adjustment is not where you would typically find here at the door. It is in the center, which makes very little sense to me. Sophie, what are you doing? And get this, if Sophie moves her head a little bit, there's actually like some little coin slots here where you can put coins. This is a 90s car, so I guess people were using coins at the time. And then, Sophie, stay there. No. Stay over there. Stay over there. Good girl. Sit. Here is a neat little feature. There are no cup holders here. There's these blocks. And then if you want to separate it, there's this little plastic tab that you just kind of fit in. And that's pretty much it. And then you have a little space here for putting all your other crap. And it's kind of nice to have a place to put your arm. It makes driving a lot easier. And on the doors, both driver and passenger have a little compartment here, as you can see. And there's your gas and trunk lever. So let's go ahead and start this car. This is kind of important. So up here you have your sunroof. Then this is the buttons, and then you have the light here. Look at that. You even have visors in this car. So let's start this up. And it starts right up. This thing is extremely good. So I don't even know if you guys can hear the engine. It's a very quiet engine. The people that get this car nowadays are, how should we say, they're the drifter guys, like the guys that like to soup up the cars. But it's a very good looking car that back in the day used to be a lot, the audience used to be women, so women would buy this car. And typically nowadays it's all just guys that want to drift and have fun and do whatever racing that they want to do. Most people will swap out this transmission with a 5-speed, and they usually swap out the engine, which I personally wouldn't do because I prefer everything to be stock. But hey, that's your thing if you want to like completely change this car. But everything works on this car, and it sounds pretty darn good. Let's go outside and look at the trunk really quick. You know, the trunk is surprisingly good for such a car. Of course, it's got like this really deep kind of reach, which makes it hard to load stuff, but it's good enough for most. And of course there's your spare, and your tools are in here. It's a pretty deep pocket, so it's kind of, you have to kind of lift. But most people use this to commute, which is why this car was popular. And look at this. Not only you have a space here, you also have like this weird little shallow space here, which makes it difficult to carry anything. I don't understand that, but it looks pretty cool. I think the person that would get this is somebody that wants to trick out this car to make it a very fast car, very fast for drifting and racing. Or it could be a collector that wants one of these 240 SXs to keep in the garage, and it'll just appreciate in price. But this is a fantastic looking car. I don't think anybody that sees this car goes like, oh man, that's an ugly car. I think fundamentally everybody thinks that this car is a extremely gorgeous example of a 90s car. It looks very contemporary. When you look at it, it just does not look old. It's got some 90s cues, but the design really holds up well in in the 2000s. 2019, this car still looks pretty fantastic. It's a very good looking car. I don't think anybody would go like, man, that's an ugly car. No, this is a very good looking car. I think whoever buys this will be very happy with it. Well guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. That's the Nissan 240SX.